The diplomatic fallout between London and Washington has now exploded into a full-blown political and economic crisis. In just 3 minutes, former US President Donald Trump has managed to do what no American leader has dared attempt in generations: publicly humiliate a British Prime Minister and reduce the so-called special relationship to rubble. The target of his fury is Keir Starmer, and the payback is already hitting Britain harder than most people yet realise. For years, Starmer and the Labour Party underestimated Trump's political resilience, treating him not as a statesman, but as a short-lived populist aberration. During Trump's first presidency, Labour MPs and senior figures launched what can only be described as a coordinated campaign of ridicule, branding him a sociopath, a dictator, a racist, even a neo-Nazi sympathiser. These were not the outbursts of fringe backbenchers, they were calculated, televised attacks by senior members of the current British government. Foreign Secretary David Lammy once described Trump as a woman-hating sociopath who poses a danger to civilization. Those words, once applauded on social media, have now come back to haunt Westminster. Because Trump never forgets. He catalogues every insult, every slight, every betrayal. And now that he has returned to power as the 47th President of the United States, he is using that ledger as a weapon. On 20th of January 2025, the day of his second inauguration, the message to Britain could not have been clearer. World leaders from every continent were there. Giorgia Meloni of Italy seated in the front row, Argentina's Javier Milei honoured with private meetings, even controversial figures from Eastern Europe invited for photo opportunities. But Britain's Prime Minister, leader of America's oldest ally, was not invited, not even an observer's seat. It was no clerical oversight, it was a calculated act of exclusion. The United States made sure the cameras caught it, the United Kingdom absent and unacknowledged. Diplomats privately call it the snub heard round the world. The symbolism was unmistakable, a superpower publicly crossing out Britain's name and ensuring the world noticed. And for Starmer, that humiliation was only the beginning. What followed has rapidly become one of the gravest foreign policy crises in modern British history. The Trump administration has placed Britain at the very top of what insiders describe as its hostile trade list, a punitive strategy designed to squeeze uncooperative allies through economic pressure. The roots of Trump's anger go beyond past insults. They lie in Labour's reckless interference in the 2024 US election. During that campaign, Labour activists were flown into American swing states such as Pennsylvania and Wisconsin to canvass door-to-door for Kamala Harris, the Democratic nominee. Social media posts openly recruited British volunteers, offering accommodation to anyone willing to help defeat Trump. When this surfaced, Trump's legal team filed formal complaints to the Federal Election Commission accusing the Labour Party of illegal foreign involvement in US politics. Whether those claims hold up legally is debatable, but politically the damage is irreversible. Trump and his advisers now regard Labour not as allies, but as adversaries who tried to keep him from office. In his worldview, that makes Starmer's government a legitimate target for retaliation, and the retaliation is already underway. Washington insiders confirm that Trump is preparing sweeping tariffs of up to 25% on key British exports, aerospace components, cars, pharmaceuticals and financial services. The United States is Britain's largest single trading partner, accounting for roughly $280 billion in annual trade. If those tariffs take effect, Britain's manufacturing heartlands from the Midlands to the northeast will be decimated. Factories will shed jobs within months, the pound will sink against the dollar, and inflation will surge as fuel and food prices climb. British families will pay the price for a diplomatic feud their government never expected to fight. Yet in Downing Street, panic has replaced strategy. Officials have been frantically seeking a direct line to the White House, flooding Washington with congratulatory cables, requests for meetings, and quiet pleas for reconciliation. None have been answered. Senior US officials are reportedly ghosting British diplomats at international forums. The United Kingdom, once Washington's indispensable partner, now finds itself effectively blacklisted. Starmer's attempt to mend the breach by appointing Peter Mandelson as ambassador to the US has only deepened the rift. To Trump's circle, Mandelson, architect of New Labour, emblem of globalist politics, A man long associated with Brussels and billionaire elites is the personification of everything Trump despises. Reports from Capitol Hill suggest Republican aides openly mock the appointment. Some even hint Mandelson may be denied normal access to senior officials. That is unprecedented. The ambassador to Washington has traditionally been the crown jewel of Britain's diplomatic service. Today, that office risks becoming a closed door. And as if diplomatic exile were not enough, another figure has entered the battlefield. Elon Musk, the world's richest man, wielding a social media empire of 500 million users, has taken aim directly at the Starmer government. Using his X platform, Musk has amplified criticism of Labour's record on free speech, policing and immigration, branding the government authoritarian and anti-British. But Musk's involvement isn't just rhetorical. He has openly endorsed Nigel Farage and Ufeke and the Reform UK party, pledging to support them financially and politically. It is an extraordinary development. A foreign billionaire effectively telling British voters to replace their government. For many in Britain's disillusioned middle, Musk's message resonates. He is perceived as standing up for values the Labour establishment abandoned. The contrast could not be more humiliating for Starmer. While he was excluded from Trump's inauguration, Farage, a man with no official post, was ushered into the VIP section. Trump praised him by name, calling him a spectacular leader, a man of real courage. In one line, broadcast globally, Trump declared Farage understands what real leadership looks like. The subtext was brutal. Trump sees Farage as the true voice of Britain and Starmer as a political non-entity. For the Labour Party, the optics are devastating. Farage's poll numbers have jumped. Reform UK rallies are swelling, and the Conservative Party is seizing the moment to paint Labour as diplomatically toxic. Inside Westminster, panic meetings are taking place behind closed doors. Senior MPs whisper the unthinkable, whether keeping Starmer as leader is worth sacrificing the Anglo-American alliance. Some argue that replacing him might be the only way to reset relations with Washington. Names like Wes Streeting and Angela Rayner are being floated as potential successors, figures who could distance Labour from its anti-Trump past. Yet even that may not save them. Trump's grudges are legendary. To him, the entire Labour Party is contaminated by disloyalty. Meanwhile, the strategic consequences are multiplying. Trump's administration has made clear it will build its foreign policy around loyalty, not legacy. Allies who obey will prosper, those who cross him will pay. Britain, once America's closest confidant, is now in the punishment phase. Diplomatic isolation is already underway, trade restrictions are imminent, and political subversion is unfolding in real time as Trump and his allies elevate Farage as a parallel leader. The economic implications are severe. Tariffs could wipe billions from British exports, financial markets may downgrade confidence in sterling assets, and energy prices are already stretched, could soar if Washington restricts cooperation on LNG shipments. Beyond economics lies geopolitics. Trump's advisors have quietly questioned whether Britain can still be trusted with sensitive intelligence under the Five Eyes alliance, citing Labour's perceived closeness to Beijing. Starmer's government has maintained cautious ties with China, avoiding sharp condemnations over Hong Kong or Xinjiang and showing reluctance to ban Chinese tech firms from UK infrastructure. To Trump, that looks like appeasement. In Washington's eyes, London now appears soft on China and unreliable on America. The worst possible combination. The consequence could be catastrophic, a cooling of intelligence sharing and a shift of US defence cooperation toward Australia and Canada, leaving Britain on the margins of the Western alliance it helped build. Every indicator points to a government adrift. In Parliament, Labour backbenchers are demanding answers. The opposition calls it the greatest diplomatic failure since Suez. Economists warn that a 25% US tariff could trigger recession. And ordinary Britons, already grappling with high energy bills and stagnant wages, will soon feel the fallout in their pockets. Yet Starmer remains publicly defiant, insisting relations with the US remain strong and constructive. Privately, his aides know the truth. Britain has never been more isolated. Trump's America will not forgive or forget. The Prime Minister gambled that Trump would never return to power, betting the future of Anglo-American relations on that single assumption. He was catastrophically wrong. Now Britain faces 4 long years of retaliation. 4 years in which Trump can reshape the global order, redirect investment, and treat the United Kingdom as a cautionary tale for any nation that dares to cross him. The hierarchy of Western alliances is being rewritten, and Britain has slipped down the list. The special relationship that once anchored British foreign policy lies in ruins, replaced by uncertainty and mistrust. What comes next may define Britain's global standing for a generation. Will Labour sacrifice its leader to repair the breach? Will Starmer swallow his pride and seek reconciliation, however humiliating? Or has the damage become irreversible? A slow burn divorce between London and Washington after 8 decades of partnership. For now, the picture is bleak. The diplomatic humiliation is complete, the economic backlash is beginning, and Britain's political establishment is paralysed by its own misjudgment. In the end, this crisis is about more than one man's feud with an American president. It is about the cost of arrogance in foreign policy. The Prime Minister who mocked Trump as a passing storm has discovered he was a hurricane, and the winds are now tearing through the heart of Downing Street.